WEPN, New York, a Good Karma Brands radio station. Now, on SportsCenter all night. Number 99 closes his case on 9 more with the Bronx Bombers.
I'm not sure why it took 10 years and $360 million to bring Aaron Judge back. You knew where they was going, and ultimately they paid a premium. But for New York, for baseball, for the Yankees, is a tremendous day.
Will there be a Baker sighting in SoFi for Thursday night's matchup?
The Rams sent him the offense, and he downloaded it onto his iPad so that he could study it on the cross-country flight. He could prep and be ready as possible for Thursday night's game against the Ravens.
We go up and down the hardwood with the New York Knickerbockers protecting the Mecca.
Out to Randall, left corner 3. Around and through for Randall.
Further evaluation leads to a major blow to Buffalo's defense.
His Mafia was good. Good, man. I'll be right back, man.
This is SportsCenter all night.
Because outside of Aaron Judge, you've given us nothing to brag about. Because you haven't lived up to the tradition that is the New York Yankees. You've been going home in October, okay?
Here's Jay Reynolds.
One more hurdle to get over in New York. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. We have Week 14 of the NFL season here. Deion Sanders plucks a coach from Nick Saban for his staff in Colorado. And Wednesday must have been a heck of a day for Venmo.
There is nothing quite as wonderful as money. There is nothing quite as beautiful as cash.
Money's pretty darn good. And there was quite a bit of it spent in Major League Baseball on Wednesday. That's straight ahead. But Wednesday night, featuring the top teams in each conference squaring off in the NBA. Celtics and Suns in Phoenix. Two teams that were facing turmoil heading into the season, yet two teams that have found a way to be at the top of their conference here in December. Suns opening up the game with a dunk from Mikal Bridges. 15 seconds into the game. And Phoenix is on the scoreboard first. They'd actually get a jumper from Torrey Craig 4.5 minutes into the game to take a 10-7 lead, up by 3 in the first quarter. Well, that lead would disappear. And then some.
Tatum grabs the rebound, his fourth. Tatum steps to his left, his 3, right down the middle. Timeout, Monty Williams, but to say what?
Crank the bus up, man. That's what you say.
Up by 42 now, midway through the third. Jalen left alone. His 3 is right down the middle. It's a 45-point lead.
Celtics up by 45, and they coast to a 27-point win. 98-5, the Sports Hub. Celtics winning at 125-98, leading by as many as 45. Their largest lead in any game this season, and tied for the second largest lead by anybody so far in the NBA this year. Celtics have scored at least 125 points in a dozen games this year, most by any team in the NBA. ESPN analyst Tim Legler.
If the playoffs started tomorrow in best of sevens, here we go. I'm taking them versus the field. They're on a completely different level. This is historically good offensively, what they're doing right now with this kind of efficiency. And Tatum and Brown now are at a point where it's every night. They have led them in scoring, one of those two guys, every single game this season. And collectively, they've only missed 3 games between them, which is a big deal because we know most teams have a hard time keeping their stars healthy. This team has that unfinished business approach that I love to see teams have. They're ticked off by the way their season ended a year ago. They got better with Brogdon, Derek White there for an entire season, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown continuing to improve. So right now, they're just playing cleaner by far on both ends of the floor.
Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, each scoring at least 25 points in the same game for the 14th time this season, most by any duo in the NBA. There are teams that could make an argument for being the team that's having a great start to the season, but as for the team that should be at the top of that list, ESPN analyst Richard Jefferson.
100% it's been the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, because when I look at their offseason and some of the things that happened literally right before the season, and the way that Jason Tatum has come out and played, the way that Jaylen Brown has complemented it, and that's tough because I felt like they complement each other. Marcus Smart, the addition of Malcolm Brogdon, which is a key piece, the way he has played. Al Horford has played so well, they gave him a contract extension. So I'm going to say right now the Celtics, and they are the best team in basketball currently, they are off to an impressive start, especially with a brand new coach.
The team that's number one overall in the NBA is the Boston Celtics. This is the best duo in the NBA right now, at least offensive output wise, giving you 57 points per game. But then there are also little subtle things that they do really well. In a year where they're missing their defensive anchor in the paint, they both are leading their team in rebounds. And then you think about big picture, they hit a lot of threes. Those two do the most on their team. So the Celtics are the answer.
Celtics go to 21-5. Janae Ogumake earlier on ESPN, 21-5. They hit 16 3-pointers, 18th game with 15 or more 3-pointers this season. That's the most by any team. And as we learned from ESPN insider Adrian Wojnarowski during the day, Celtics are already 21-5, best in the NBA, and they're going to get better.
I'm told within the next 10 to 12 days on Robert Williams III, he is practicing. He is playing pain-free. You know, he is coming off of that left knee surgery from the off season. And Boston now, I think they expect here in the next week or two to get back, you know, certainly the player who was the anchor of the league's very best defense last year. And certainly, you know, he'll elevate this team on that end of the floor once he returns. And you've seen Al Horford, Grant Williams playing minutes in the middle, but Robert Williams III, I think Boston expects him back here in the next 10 to 12 days. And it's not impossible he comes back even sooner. He could wake up one day and feel ready to play. But the expectation is, you know, the best team in the league is going to get even better very quickly.
They are now 10-3 on the road with the road victory in Phoenix on Wednesday. Double digits now in the win column on the road. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio with the Suns' loss on Wednesday. The Pelicans now have the outright best record in the Western Conference.
Jose has come back on the bench. Duran, strip Marshall. He had an easy layup up the floor tray. Alley-oop Z. Slam it in left hand. That was a ridiculously tough catch. He was nearly behind the backboard and powered it down.
ESPN New Orleans, Pelicans, a 104-98 win over the Pistons. Zion Williamson with 29 points, hit his 11 of his 16 shots, also had 10 rebounds. Sixth career game with at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. Pelicans get the win, their 5th consecutive win, longest win streak since April of 2018. In Toronto, Raptors hosting the Lakers, LA playing without AD or LeBron, and the Raptors take advantage.
Van Vliet, another deep three. Got it again. Brady says, all right, I'm shaking you down now. I'm holding you over the balcony upside down. It's shaking everything out of your pants right now. 25 for Van Vliet.
TSN 1050. Van Vliet, 25 points on 8 of 20 shooting, 7 rebounds, his 5th 25-point game this season. And the Raptors beat the Lakers 126-113. Raptors with their first wire-to-wire win this season. For the Lakers, their first wire-to-wire loss of the season. They lose by 13. In Salt Lake, Jazz and Warriors, Utah up 4 under 10 seconds to go.
123-119. Olenek inbounds to Alexander Walker. He comes to the left. He gets all the way to the window. He throws it back out to Beasley for 3 and hit. 6.9 seconds left. That was so good. Such great basketball, Will Hardy. Way to go. That was beautiful basketball.
It's that shot, but the Jazz still trailing.
Jerome gets the ball. Bounce pass into Poole. It's not the way it's stolen. Jazz held it. Beasley to Fontecchio. Get it down in the lead. 124-123. Jerome baseball outlet. Tip. Loose. Jazz win. What just happened? An unfathomable finish.
And you heard the Jazz pull off the 1-point win over the Warriors on the old Dumont Network. Actually, 97.5 The Zone. Jazz trailed by 4 with under 10 seconds to go. They win it by 1. Entering Wednesday, they were 1-718 when trailing by at least 4 inside the final 10 seconds of the fourth quarter over the last 25 seasons. The only other win coming in 2010 against the Heat. But the Jazz forced the turnover and get the go-ahead shot with under 2 seconds to go and wind up winning the game. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins did not play in the loss for the Warriors. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Aaron Judge and the Yankees. 9 years, $360 million. Now let me ask you this question, Yankees fans. Was it a smart move by the Yankees? He's going to be 40 at the end of that deal. He may have just had his best season.
Aaron Judge had offers from San Francisco, San Diego, but ultimately wanted to stay in New York, and that's what he does. ESPN analyst Alex Rodriguez.
When you look at the headline here, Sage, I think it's simple. I mean, you have 3 big winners here. You have the fans of New York got their guy. He's one of the most exciting, best players in the game. Obviously, Aaron Judge and his family. And then Hal Steinbrenner, I think, give him a lot of credit. He came out late from Italy to save the day. But when you zoom out, Sage, I think you have to look at this a little bit more analytically. We have learned nothing about Aaron Judge over the last 12 months, at least the fans of New York. I mean, he is top shelf character, great talent. And at the end of the day, if Brian Cashman and that front office would have handled Aaron Judge like the Atlanta Braves, you could have signed him 3 or 4 years ago for $100 million and then take that delta of $260 million and bring in complementary players around Aaron Judge to help the Yankees land a title.
$40 million per season, 9 years, $360 million for Aaron Judge as he returns to New York. ESPN insider Buster Olney.
The Yankees completely surrendered. Aaron Judge had more leverage than any player in the history of that franchise, more than Babe Ruth, more than Joe DiMaggio, more than Reggie Jackson, more than Derek Jeter. He turned down $213.5 million in the spring from the Yankees, bet on himself, and the final numbers, $360 million, which means that over the course of 6-7 months, the Yankees increased their offer by about 70%.
And had the Yankees lost out on Aaron Judge?
Agents told me as they went through this process, they believe that Brian Cashman, the Yankees general manager, his advice based on his history to Hal Steinbrenner was probably, look, hold the line. You know, don't go off on one of these crazy contracts. But in this case, there was more pressure on Hal Steinbrenner than in any other negotiation he'd been involved in. And so he gives him that money. If they hadn't signed Judge, I think their pivot would have been to the shortstop market, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, and maybe to Hal Steinbrenner. That just wasn't palatable. The Giants now, who lose out on Judge, will turn to the shortstop market, maybe Carlos Correa.
Giants and Padres losing out on the Aaron Judge deal. Yankees don't, so the Yankees didn't have to pivot to that shortstop market. But Wednesday night, the Padres did. Shortstop Xander Bogaerts has an agreement on an 11-year, $280 million deal, according to our Jeff Passan.
It came together quickly. 11 years, $280 million for a 30-year-old shortstop. We're seeing a lot more guys getting paid into their 40s in baseball, when for a while there, it didn't seem like anybody wanted to pay someone into their 30s. And Xander Bogaerts, you look at the Padres, you're like, don't they have a shortstop in Fernando Tatis Jr.? Don't they have another shortstop in Ha-Seong Kim? Yes, actually. But when the Padres went after Trey Turner and reportedly offered him $342 million, that showed they had money and that they wanted to add to their offense and build around not just Juan Soto, not just Manny Machado, not just Fernando Tatis Jr. and Trent Grisham and all the others, Jake Cronenworth, that they have in their lineup. They wanted to add a premium elite back to that. It's an incredible move, and the Boston Red Sox are just floored and shaken right now. They gave $90 million to Masataka Yoshida earlier in the day, the outfielder from Japan. It happens to be the same day that they lost their franchise player. And the second one, remembers, that they've lost after trading Mookie Betts to the Los Angeles Dodgers a couple of years ago.
Downside for the Red Sox as they lose their shortstop. Red Sox and closer Kenley Jansen agree to a $32 million two-year contract. Cardinals and catcher Wilson Contreras agree to an $87.5 million deal over 5 years. Jose Quintana and the Mets come to a deal, and the Cubs have a deal as well. Jameson Taillon agreed to a 4-year, $68 million pact. Straight ahead. Oh, we don't see this kind of scoring very often.
Coming up on Thursday, we got Celtics and Warriors this week. Which team has a better shot at getting back to the NBA Finals? Find that answer out right here on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Thursday, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
This is SportsCenter All Night.